If you ever see them in concert, I don't know. I know they got a lot of flack when they performed at the Super Bowl, but when I saw them in concert, they were good, like really good. And I didn't expect for them to be that good, right? So how many of you, this is the first time you've seen me? Okay, let me ask you a question. All right, so when we developed this program called Monster Young Professional, the reason we developed it is because, just to be quite honest with you, I was hiring in my business people that were 20 to 30 years old, and they were nowhere near ready to perform. Does that make sense? And I'm like, man, we got a real problem here. Some of them were educated, some of them gone to college, some of them not gone to college. We had some people last 10 days, and they would say things like, man, we worked too hard, or, you know, this is hard, or I, you know, couldn't get here on time, couldn't be here. And I'm like, man, there's a major problem here, right? Like, somebody's not preparing these people to be successful in the world. And because of that, they're basically just going to bounce around from thing to thing. And they're going to spend a long time trying to figure this out, which is only really going to hurt them in the long run. Okay? Traditional cycle of a young professional is go to high school, get very, very, very underprepared. Maybe you go to college, maybe you don't. Go out into the world, try X number of jobs, not like those jobs, not figure it out, only to figure out what you want to do at some point later in life. Like, there's a study out there that says most people don't figure out what they want to be when they grow up till they're 38 years old. Like, at 38, they're just figuring out, like, who am I, what I want to do in my life, right? And in my opinion, we need to speed that cycle up for you. In my life, I knew what I wanted to do at 15. I was already professionally doing it at 18. I was already a head coach of a major program by 21. I was already writing books by 25. You see what I'm saying? I was already producing and making $1 million within by the time I was 30-something years old. You follow where I'm going with this? And it was because I had such a head start in figuring this out. Now, I would like to tell you that was because of some coach that came into my life. I'd like to tell you it's because of some education that I have. But at the end of the day, the only thing I know to tell you is I was very lucky to find my calling very early in life. And I had enough pray drive. You're going to hear me use that word. Pray drive is the internal discipline to see something and go get it. And that came from the way I was raised by a single mother, who basically taught me to get up every day and go get it, man. Just go get it. No excuses. We don't whine. We don't complain. And we don't make excuses. So these combinations kind of helped me. So by the time I was 21 years old, I was way more advanced than my peers. You see what I'm saying? I was already in a full-time job. I was already trying to be successful. I was already trying, so in my opinion, I was like, they were over here kind of goofing off, trying to figure out life and kind of figure out what's going on and messing around. And while they were messing around, I was just going. So what's funny is a lot of those people begin to seek my counsel. They begin to be like, well, how are you doing this? And what are you doing? And how are you doing it? And that's kind of part of the reason I started writing books, is because so many people were asking me, like I want to go out and do some of the stuff you're doing. How do I do it? So tonight, so I went to 9 years of college, by the way. 9 years, over 350 hours of college credit. That means I basically went as far as you can go. Like, there ain't no more levels than what I went to. You follow what I'm saying? Not one class in 9 years of what I'm going to teach you tonight. Okay? My third degree, I paid over $60,000 for that degree, or $70,000 for that one degree, my third one. And I would tell you this, not one class in all that credit and what I'm going to teach you tonight. This class I'm going to teach you tonight was more valuable than maybe all 9 years of those college. Now, I'm not telling you not to go to college. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm just telling you that colleges are not set up to help you be successful, because a lot of the people teaching are educators. They've never been out. They've never started a business. They've never ran a business. They've never hired employees. They've never had to generate revenue. They get paid a salary every month. You follow where I'm going with this? They don't know how to make money. So how can they teach you how to make money? Because they don't know how to do it. Okay? Now, there's a lot of good professors. I'm not knocking them. But what I'm telling you is the real world stuff that you need to know is, I look at it as if I were going to hire anybody in this room tonight and you were going to come work with me, what kind of skills and attributes am I looking for in a person? Okay? And a lot of it doesn't have to do with the skill as much as it does the intensity and the hunger and passion, and a key word I want to use, curiosity. Like, I look for curious people. Like, a curious person is always asking this, how do I, so if Joe's curious, and he worked along beside me every day, here's the kind of questions he should be asking. Coach Burt, how do I sell better? Coach Burt, I've noticed how you follow up. Coach Burt, can I get on the bus with you, travel with you? Coach Burt, can I get on a plane with you and go with you? Coach Burt, I noticed how you did this. Can you explain it to me? Like a curious person is always asking questions. Does that make sense? And that's one sign that you're passionate about something. If you don't have any questions about anything, it's like you don't care about it. So if you're in the financial services business, let me just ask you a question. How many people's in financial services? Okay, all you guys right here. Number one, there's a person at your office that probably makes $1 million a year selling financial services. Yes or no? Here's what I'd be asking every day. How did you do it? What do you say? How do you schedule a meeting? How do you follow up? How do you overcome objections? But a non-curious person would go to work every day at WFG and never even ask those questions. Everybody see that? They just go to work every day and just, man, I don't know how he does it. He just does it a whole lot better than I do it. See, so I spent my early 20s watching and studying very successful people. But I didn't just study them. I would like get to know them. I'd be like, okay, how are you doing this? Because you're performing up here and I'm performing down here. Like, what do I need to do? And they'd say, well, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this. And I'm like, okay, now what do you think I went and did? Exactly what they told me to do. Okay? Now there's an old joke. I was in a coaching program once, and it was divided into 2 rooms. One room made $100,000 a year. So all the people in this room made $100,000 of personal income per year. Everybody in this room made over $1 million a year in personal income. So the coach was going back and forth between the $100,000 room and the $1 million room. And one of the people in the $100,000 room raised their hand and said, I got a question for you. What's the difference between the people over there earning over there earning $1 million and us that's only earning $100,000? Here was his response. He said, over in the $1 million room, when I tell them to do something, they go do it. Over in the $100,000 room, when I tell them to go do something, they give me 10 reasons on why it won't work. Now I want you to think about that. When a big-time person tells you to do something that's operating at a higher frequency to you, that's produced some superior results to you, when they tell you to do something, here would be my question to you. Do you go do it? Or do you kind of do it? Or do you halfway do it? Or do you come up with excuses about why you can't do it? Does that make sense? Okay? So tonight, I'm going to break down, the topic is, how do you come with batteries included? Like, how do I get you to a point that if you were to be hired, if I hired you today, that you walked in on day one and created significant value, and I look at you and I say you are a must-have versus a nice-to-have. Everybody with me? I look at you and I say you're a must-have versus a nice-to-have. Now, how many of you have ever been fired at some point in your life? Okay? Now, when you were fired, at the end of the day, why were you fired? You're going to get fired at some point. Everybody is. Right? Cole, why? How come?
Pissed off one of the senior guys and threw a beanbag at him.
Okay, good. Threw a beanbag at a guy. All right, it's good. Joe, you?
Honestly, I worked for a union and I was working too much.
Okay. All right. So you work for a union, you work for too much. Now, here's the deal. At some point in our life, we're all going to get fired from something. But I want to teach you how to become so valuable. You're so valuable that if they had to cut everything out, they would never cut you. Right? We have a client in Houston, Texas that cut $2 million out of his budget this year. Laid off people, shut down departments, but he didn't cut me. And he told his team, this dude is too valuable to cut. We ain't getting rid of him. We'll get rid of all these people, but we ain't getting rid of him. And I felt good about that because he very easily could have cut me. But here's what I walked out of there thinking. I need to become that valuable to every client that I have, not just a few clients. Some people you're so valuable to, they never fire you. That's what you want to do. That's how you insulate yourself. You're so valuable that they would never let you go. Some people, you're kind of valuable, and they go, I could fire this dude tomorrow and not miss anything. Does that make sense? So how do you become that valuable? Now, Bob Goff is one of my favorite people right now. Bob Goff wrote a book called Love Does. You'll get this much later in life. But he interviewed 10 people to be his assistant. Okay? During the interview process, he made one statement. I would really like to have this. And it was a plant, it was something you wouldn't think about. And basically during the interview process, as he was interviewing all 10 of these people, he made this one statement: I would really like to have this certain type of plant. And then he just didn't say another word about it, and he just kept going. Okay? To all 10 people. The very next morning, one of those people brought that plant. Said, here you go, Bob. And you know what he said? You're hired. Out of all 10 people, you were the only one that listened to what I wanted and brought it to me. You are the most valuable. Now, when I was 28 years old, I was the head women's basketball coach at Riverdale High School. Okay? Because a lot of what I'm teaching you tonight is about initiative. And our football coach was the athletic director. He's a very famous football coach named Gary Rankin, and he won a lot of football games. And he left and went to East Tennessee to coach, which opened up a position. Okay? So we got an athletic director position. And I go, I'd like to be the athletic director. I'd like to get this position, right? Other coaches wanted to be the athletic director too. But here's what they did. They sat back and they waited to be asked to be the athletic director. Okay? And here's what they thought. Well, I'm a senior person here. I've been here for a number of years. I would do a great job. I went into the principal's office and I gave him a plan. And it had 14 points on it. And I said, I'd like to present you an idea. And he said, okay. And I put that plan down. And he said, what is this? And I said, this is my 14-point plan for when you name me athletic director. These are the 14 ways I'm going to improve the athletic department when you name me athletic director later this afternoon. And you know, here's what he said. Nobody presented me a plan to improve the athletic department but you. So, Coach Burt, you have the job. Now, how do you think those other people felt? Yeah, they hated me. That's how they felt. The people who wanted the job that didn't get it, they were mad. Why did he get it? He's only 28 years old. What makes him qualified? Here's what the boss said. He's the only one that took any initiative. So here's what I don't see a lot in a 20 to 30-year-old. I don't see a lot of initiative. Does that make sense? Like I'm looking for you to come in and solve problems. That's how you become more valuable. Okay? Now, who works in the apartment business? You work in the apartment business. Are there problems over there every day? Here's the deal. Let's pretend that I own the apartments. Let's pretend I'm the owner of the apartments. I know we're going to have problems. You become more valuable to me when you come to work every day and solve those problems. If you create more problems for me, you become less valuable because I got enough problems to deal with. Everybody understand? So the more you come in, instead of going, we got this problem, 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 the way you become really valuable is you walk in and you say, look, here's my plan to solve all these problems. With your permission, I'm going to go to work on solving these. And that owner's going to look at you and go, my God, I haven't seen anybody think like this. Great. You got my permission to go fix these problems. Okay? Now, that's very important because at some point in the future, if you come back and ask for a pay raise, you come back and say, I want to be more valuable to you, that person's going to go, well, this person's really worth it because they're really valuable to us. You follow what I'm saying? Okay? Remember this. Nice to haves always get cut. Nice to haves get cut from budgets. Must haves never get cut from budgets. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So how do you become a must have versus a nice to have? Okay? Now, so for my financial folks, here's the deal. One of my core principles is I do not invest with broke people. I'm not going to work hard and spend X number of years becoming a millionaire and then turn around and give my money to somebody who I think's broke. Does that make sense? So the fastest way for you to become a financial advisor to somebody who has money is prove that you can take money and multiply it. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Like you don't want to get advice from a out-of-shape doctor, do you? Like I go to some of these health clinics before, and the people at the health clinic are worse healthy than the people coming. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to a clinic not long ago, and the nurse was sitting there eating a Cinnabon while she's telling me about what I should and shouldn't eat. And I'm like you're telling me to eat this, and you're eating a Cinnabon right in the middle of the, you know, I mean, it's crazy. No, like up in the front area, like when you're checking in. Now, here's my point. So if I'm young and I haven't accumulated a lot of money yet, and I don't have a lot of money to invest, I gotta come up with something else. I gotta be sharp. I gotta study the markets. I gotta be able to answer questions fast. I gotta show, look, I can take a little bit of money and multiply that money. Now, I'm not where some people are yet, but I'm climbing. Does that make sense? So people go, this cat's good. He may be young, but he's good. And he understands the markets, and he's showing up capacity, and he's going to be the next big thing. You want people saying about you, you're going to be the next big thing. Like they're not quite there yet, he's going to be the next big thing, okay? So here's what we're talking about. How to come with batteries included, and how to build a competitive intelligence. How to build competitive intelligence. Competitive intelligence is if I were to line you up versus 10, 20, other 30 people your age, you clearly stand out versus them. Okay? Now, here's a point. When I went to college at 18 years old, I was shy. I was nervous. I was insecure. I wore a hat all the way down, and I sat in the very back row of every class that I was in. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't join any fraternities. I almost said I didn't join any sororities. I didn't do that either. I didn't join any fraternities. I didn't go to parties. I didn't do anything. You know what I did? I went to work coaching. I was already coaching at Riverdale at 18 and 19 when I was in college. But I was very shy, very insecure, scared to death to talk to people. Okay, and I want you to think about that. Because now that's all I do every day is talk to people for a living. Complete strangers. So if you're there like, man, I don't know if I have this confidence yet, it's going to come. It's going to come. But what I want to tell you, if I were to line you up versus 20 or 30 other people your age, somebody's clearly going to stand out versus the other people. So how do I give that to you? How do I give you a competitive intelligence? How do I give my 6-year-old daughter a competitive intelligence? So when she's competing in the world, she's smarter, faster, better, more equipped so that she can prosper in the world. You understand what I'm saying? Now, how many of you had somebody in your life as you were growing up that kind of was teaching you and coaching you some of these things? Anybody? Younger. All right, so let me ask you this question. How do I turn you on to personal development? Because the more valuable you become, the more you're learning, the more you're growing, the more you're studying. How do I turn you on to that? Like you're obviously turned on to it for some reason or you wouldn't be here.
Successful examples.
Okay, all right. Exactly right. By what? See, I got turned on at 18 years old to one book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And one of my mentors said, read this book. I was not into personal development, had never really read books, didn't listen. They didn't have podcasts in those days. And I went down and I read that book, and I'm like, man, this is good. I'm interested. Like, how do I get more of it? Then I started reading. Then I started studying. Then I started doing. So one thing I would ask you right now is, if I looked at your library, what are you reading? Are you reading self-help books? Good, you're reading one of my books. Are you reading books on confidence? Are you reading books on selling? Are you reading books on personal development? Are you reading books on growth? What podcasts are you listening to? Like if I interviewed you right now, some of my interview questions would be, what's the last book you read? What podcasts are you listening to? If you want to be a salesperson for me, who's the greatest salespeople you're studying? Like these are questions I'd want to know because that would tell me how serious you are about getting better. Like, do you do this on your own time? Like I don't read books at work. I read books when I'm at home on my personal time. I listen to podcasts in the mornings. I listen to podcasts on the way home. I end the day with certain things. So habits of successful people is they have this insatiable desire to grow and learn and get better. They're not stagnant. So if you're not reading books, you need to be reading books, whether you like reading books or not. And they have this thing called Audible. You can listen to the book, right? Like you don't have to read the book. You can listen to the book. But when I hear people say, well, I don't like reading. I don't like reading. Here's what I would tell you. It don't matter if you like it. This is something you got to become great at. So tonight we're going to be covering some things from this book. Okay? And I wrote this book many years ago. And notice the title of the book. This ain't no practice life. That is a double negative. Okay? You're not supposed to use ain't and no in the same sentence. Okay? But my high school English teacher, when I started writing books, she basically made fun of me. She's like, if you would have told me that Michael Burt would have been writing books when he was 16 years old, I would have just laughed. Okay? And so when I wrote this book, I sent her a copy of it. And I said, you never know what your students are going to become, right? Like maybe they become authors, maybe they become whatever. She didn't see that in me then, but I saw it in me, okay? So how do I give you a competitive intelligence? Now, first thing, competitive intelligence. And I see this in a lot of people. The very first thing you got to do is we got to help you find your voice in life. This is very different than getting a job. Now, how many of you have gone out and just got a job before? Now, why did you get the job? You needed what? Money. You got bills to pay. Tired of living with mom and daddy, ready to get out and do your own thing. So you got to have some money. So the very first thing our school system does is it trains you to go out and get a job. Okay? And that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. In my opinion, what you should be doing is trying to discover your calling. Now, remember this. There's a difference between an occupation and a vocation. An occupation is that which occupies your time in which you receive a paycheck for. Okay? Occupation. Now, some people get into professions for one reason. They think they're going to make a lot of money. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but at the end of the day, what you should be pursuing is, this is what I love doing, this is what I'm good at doing, this is what pays me, this is what my conscience tells me to do. Like, I'm trying to find my voice in life. Okay? And that is very different, like I said, than just getting a job. So how would I find my voice? If you were coaching me in finding my voice, how would you coach me in finding it? How would I know if I was doing what I was supposed to be doing? Say again?
Questions. Ask questions. What
Yeah.
you like, what you don't like.
Yes.
Interests, hobbies.
That's right. Here's how I know if you should be doing it or not doing it. It gives you energy. If it drains your energy, it ain't part of your voice. So when you're doing an activity and it gives you energy, it feeds your battery, that's good. If it sucks all the life out of you, okay, then it ain't part of your voice. I love group dynamics. I hate coaching people one-to-one. Okay? The number one thing people ask me when they sign up for my coaching program, especially at the higher levels, what do you think they ask? How much time do I get with you, Coach Burt? Like, I really need 1 or 2 hours with you. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, you don't need 1 or 2 hours with me. Because here's my idea of coaching people one-to-one. Suck it up, Buttercup, and let's go. Like, I ain't listening to you whine and complain and gripe about what it ain't working and ain't working. You know what I'm saying? So I hate coaching people one-to-one. Although people would pay me a lot of money to coach them one-to-one. Why would they pay me a lot of money to coach them one-to-one? Because you got to get this in your brain. The reason a person would pay you a lot of money for something is something you have that they want. Knowledge, skill, desire, confidence, networks, likability, ideas, concepts. There's something you have that they are attracted to. You follow what I'm saying? Now, you say, how does that work in the insurance field? The people who have the best knowledge and the highest likability and the most energy make the most money selling insurance. You follow what I'm saying? So when you're thinking about finding your voice, I always ask this question: what do I love doing? What am I passionate about? I mean, deeply passionate about. What am I good at doing? This is talents. Most adults do not know what their talents are. If I ask you right now to define your talents for me, could you tell me? A few? You know what, most adults, so here's the deal. How can you multiply talent if you don't even know what it is? You know why? How many classes did you have in finding your talents in school? 0. 9 years of college. I went to 9 years. We didn't have a class in talents. So if I don't know my talent, I can't go out into the world and use my talent through my work. Everybody see that? So the first step is to really find my talent and then find the work that matches my talent. Okay? So what do you love doing? This is big. You need to be asking yourself this question, like, what do you absolutely love doing? Cole, let me come back to you. What do you love doing?
Real estate.
Okay? What do you not love doing?
Certain parts of real estate.
Okay? All right? Now, for a period of time, I paid Cole to work out with me in the mornings, okay? It's clear that my physique is much bigger than his, but you understand. Now,
I've lost some weight, haven't you?
I have lost a lot of weight. Now, here's my point, though. He was a good trainer. He showed up. He pushed me out. But I knew it wasn't what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I knew he did. I knew he didn't get a lot of. Like I work out with a lot of trainers, and I can tell this ain't what this dude wants to do. You understand what I'm saying? Yesterday I went over to Title Boxing just to check it out, just to go in there and check out what they were doing, because I was looking at purchasing that franchise. And this guy is in there just yelling at people. Punch it, go, let's go, screaming. He's bouncing around and yelling at people. And I'm like, man, this dude just loves it. You understand what I'm saying? Like he loved coaching those people. Like I could tell immediately how much enthusiasm he had for it. Like this dude wakes up, I bet he's punching people in his sleep. You follow what I'm saying? I knew that dude was doing what he was supposed to be doing. When I detect from a person that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, let me tell you what I see, low energy. They're just going through the day. They'd have no enthusiasm or energy for it. And I'm like, that person is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, I saw a quote today from Robert Greene, one of my favorite authors. He wrote the book Mastery, 48 Laws of Power, some deep stuff. He said that a person can spiritually die by spending time every day doing something they're not supposed to be doing as part of their work. Now, how many people have you come across in the last week or so that you know just dead? They're alive, but they're dead. Everybody with me? So what do they do? Now, let me ask you a question. If that's you, and you're in a job right now, that you're going through the motion in, that you're there physically, but you're not there emotionally, how good do you think you're going to be at that job? What type of advancement do you think you're going to have? Do you think somebody's going to say about you, oh yeah, get the one that seems dead and let's put them up for promotion? Like I'm telling you guys, if you don't get anything else from tonight, until you find your voice, you're in an occupation. And an occupation will pay you very moderately, but it'll never get you to the next level. Vocation, Latin term voice or calling in life. This is what I love doing. This is what I'm good at doing. This is what pays me the most money. And you don't have to make a bunch of money. It could be nonprofit. This is what I love doing. This is what I'm good at doing. It's not all about money. Okay? But you're going to need some money to live. Okay? So first step on this process is finding your voice, in my opinion. And you got to dig in. And this book will help you. So if you're reading, this is a book you need to read. Second thing I think you got to do is in the book I talk about experiencing an awakening. An awakening is like something that just wakes you up. It's like you're in a sleep, you're in a slumber. You're just in a slumber and you need to wake up. Like what typically wakes a person up? An alarm, that's right.
The sun.
Yeah.
Coffee, that's a good one.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Some external factor. What about something in life that really unexpected happens? Does that wake a person up? Yes or no? We had a guy last week that called me to sign up for our coaching program, and he said, I'm sleeping in my car. And I know I'm so much better than this. And if you will allow me to pay weekly, I'd like to sign up for your coaching program. Because I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm ready. I need to check. He's like, Coach, I need to wake up. He's like, I'm a grown man sleeping in my car because I can't get my act together. For what I find, unfortunately, is many times something bad has to happen to us before we wake up, which is very unfortunate. I need you to wake up to your potential. I need you to wake up and get serious. I need you to wake up and get curious. I need you to wake up and be engaged. I need you to wake up and show up. I don't need you just to go through the motions. You're wasting time. This ain't no practice life. So how do I shake you and wake you up? And sometimes that's going to come from a conversation with a person who looks at you and says, Joe, I don't know what you're doing, man. Like you need to be doing this. This is ridiculous. I was on a podcast one night and I was bragging about how we were generating $250,000 a month. We were selling $250,000 a month of coaching, which to me at that time was the most money we had ever sold, which is a lot of money. Would you take $250,000 a month? Okay. So I'm like, man, we're killing it. So I'm on this podcast and they're asking me, how's your business going? I'm like, man, we're doing great. We're doing $250,000 a month and killing it. I got off the phone and my buddy Brad Lee called me. Brad Lee started Lightspeed out in Las Vegas. It's about a $50 million company. And he called me and he said, bro, I listened to the podcast, and he said, man, I'm ashamed that you would even say that. I'm like, what do you mean? It's $250,000 a month. He's like, man, that's embarrassing. He's like, don't tell people you make $250,000 a month. He's like, guy like you with your talent, you ought to be doing $2.5 million a month. Then you can talk about it. Now I want you to think about that. That was a compliment. He's like, man, you're playing down there at a little baby level. Get up here and play at this level, because that's how good you are. That's his point. You're good enough to be bringing in $2.5 million a month, not $250,000. That's the kind of conversations people need to be having with you. I remember being in Riviera Maya, Mexico, and I was there with Cardone. We were doing a 10X, the very first 10X event, and I was talking about Murfreesboro. This is like 7 or 8 years ago, and I'm talking about Murfreesboro. Man, I'm going to dominate Murfreesboro, Nashville. And Cardone stopped me, and he's like, look, I need you to quit talking like that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, quit talking about Murfreesboro. Replace that with the words planet Earth. You could sell to anybody on planet Earth. That's your target market, not Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And so that one comment woke me up. So I came back to Murfreesboro and I said, you know what? How do we sell to a person in another country? Like, what can I do when I'm coaching to coach a person in a whole other country that's not here in Murfreesboro? Well, we could live stream it. Like right now, there could be people in other countries watching this. That one comment, he like, wake up, man. This is ridiculous. Like, you're playing so small. So I came back and I started the live stream. I said, we're going to live stream my coaching sessions. Anybody in the world can buy my coaching sessions on other planets. I don't know about other planets, but you know what I'm saying. They tell us there could be some people on Mars. Hey, just more people to sell something to. You understand? So how many of y'all felt like you already had this moment, this big awakening? Yeah, and if you haven't had it, waking up is like, I am now fully alive to my potential. Potential is the idea of embryonic growth. I'll be better today than I was yesterday. But I see a lot of 20 to 30-year-olds ain't even close to their potential. And I'm like, you're playing on such a small level. You got to get your brain around something bigger, okay? Second one, okay? So first I got to wake up. Then I got to dream up. Now, how many of you at some point in your life have suffered from what you consider very small think? Like you've been very limited in your thinking. Where did your limited thinking come from? Okay. Where you live? I grew up in a little town, 2,500 people. Nobody's doing anything. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody had dreams. Nobody had ambition. Nobody had role models. Nobody had anything. So that's why I wrote the book Small Towns and Big Dreams, because I constantly heard people say, well, you'll never do anything big from a small town. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I look at some of my friends, even today, that are 40 years old. They have not progressed since they were in high school. They're still doing little things in the world, scared to death to do anything big. So the fastest way I can get you to think bigger is to put you in proximity to people who think much bigger than you. So I want you to think about the people you hang around right now. And I want you to think about how big their thinking is. One way to look at that is what's the size of their income. Because their income is typically associated with their thinking. You probably heard this saying, you become the sum average of the 5 people you hang around most. If you hang around people doing little bitty things, that's what you're going to do, little bitty things, okay? So when I say design your own dream, what started designing this dream for me was I began to get around people who were operating at much higher frequencies than me. And I began to think bigger. And I began to dream bigger. And I began to go, man, I could do that, and I could do that, and I could do that. You know, so to me, designing your own dream is, this is where I'm at today. This is where I'd like to get to. One day I'd like to own my own business. I'd like to have this. I'd like to do this. I'd like to help this many people. I'd like to, there's got to come a time, because if not, you're going to wake up at 25, then you're going to wake up at 30, then you're going to say, what have I been doing? Like, what have I been doing all this time? I hadn't been doing anything big. Okay? And I've been doing little, small things. It's just not big enough. So first I got to wake up, then I got to dream up. So I want you to ask yourself, who are you associating with? Okay? Now, we had a guy last week that traveled with me. We have 2 people in our coaching program that are under 25 years old that are paying $25,000 a year for me to coach them. We have one 20-year-old paying $25,000 a year for me to coach him. Now, I want you to get your mind around that. Here's what he said. We got a basic level, and he came to me and he said, I told him what the basic level was, which was $4.99 a month. He said, why would I be at that level? I'm like, what do you mean? You're only 20 years old. He's like, I understand. Why would I be at the basic level when I want to be up here? Like, he's like, what's the next level? What's the higher level? I'm like, well, it's $25,000 a year. We call it the 25K level. He said, sign me up for that level. And I said, why would you do that? He said, because isn't that where all the big money earners are? Like the people that earn a lot of income? I said, yeah. He said, that's the people I want to be around. This is a 20-year-old kid. Blew my mind. I'm like, dang. We had a 25-year-old kid sign up last week for the 25K level.
But how does he pay for it?
He pays for it because what he's learning in the coach, that's a great question. What he's learning in the coaching program, he is a ClickFunnels guy, so he builds ClickFunnels for people. And he was already doing it. Now that he's getting coached, he's doing it much better. But guess who's hiring him? All the other 25K members. So he's extracting business. He's learning. He's watching these people. At the same time selling these people. And he's making money off the people. Because he said, I don't want to play at the low levels. I want to play at the high levels. I thought it was such a mature thing. I wouldn't have the guts to do that at 20 years old, guys. I wouldn't have the guts to do it. I may not even have the guts to do it at 25 years old. But what's he doing here? Designing his own dream. All right, I'm going to give you one more, then I'm going to let you think about it and talk about these. These two kind of go with each other, okay? When I'm designing my dream, before I was a championship coach, I used to spend time with the guy who'd won 10 championships, and he had these big championship rings. And one night he was going to travel somewhere and speak at a clinic, and I said, can I go with you? And he's like, what do you want to do? I said, man, I just want to learn. Just want to learn from you. And we stayed in the same hotel room and would take all those rings off. He had one big one on this hand and one big one on this hand, like huge championship rings. And I said, do you mind if I just try that ring on? He's like, no. I was like, yeah. So I went, I put it, and I tried it on. I said, man, championship ring. I'd love to have one of those things. And I'm sitting there asking him, like, how do I do it? And he's telling me, you got to do this, 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 you got to do this. And I'm listening. And I'm listening, and I'm listening, and I'm like, well, who else can I hang around? He's like, well, let me introduce you to this college coach, and let me introduce you to this person and this person. Next thing you know, I'm hanging around like Gino Auriemma, who's the head coach at UConn, and Pat Summitt, who's the head coach at UT, and I'm just sitting in the corner watching. I'm like, man, that's Pat Summitt, and that's Gino Auriemma. Okay, last year when I spoke at 10X, I'm like, man, that's Damon John. I mean, I'm backstage, and me and Damon John are right beside each other. You know, and he's speaking, and I'm about to speak right after he speaks. And we're like this. He's like, hey, coach, what's up, man? And now I'm getting around people, and I'm sitting backstage with all these people who are millionaires or billionaires, and I'm just walking around with them like I'm one of them, right? Because what am I doing? Step number 3, I'm reaching up. Never take advice from somebody who is operating at a lower level than you. Everybody with me? Now think about who you're getting your advice from. My real estate agent one day, I was asking him how to do something. He's one of my good friends. And I was asking him, you know, what do you think I should do about this? And he stopped me and he said, do you make 3 or 4 times the amount of money than I do? I said, yes, I do. He's like, well, you don't need to be asking me that question then. He said, because I don't know how to answer that question. Like you're operating up here and I'm operating down here, which is why I'm paying you to coach me. I don't know how to tell you to get up there. You need to be asking that dude. So I want you to think about right now, when I was 20, 21, 22 years old, I was hanging around people that were 30 and 40 and 50 years old who were performing at a higher level than me. I wouldn't hang around just other 21-year-olds because they didn't know any more than I did. Does that make sense? They were out hanging out. And listen, I did all the bars. I did all the things that young people do. You understand what I'm saying? But my main focus was on a decade of growing and being good at what I'm doing, okay? So I want you to stop right there, and I want you to ask yourself, out of those 4 things, I found my voice, I've had my wake-up call, I'm designing my dream, or I'm learning to play up. Where do you think you're deficient right now? Like where do you think you're deficient? Now, I want to say one more thing, because all these guys in financial advice, all you guys are 25 or under, something like that? Okay. If I'm young, the very first thing people are going to hold against me, there's going to be what's called an internal objection. And an internal objection is, I've already made up my mind that you don't have enough life experience to help me. Does that make sense? Like, if I get my financial advice, it's going to be from Ed Milet. You follow what I'm saying? So I have an objection inside of me that you don't even know, and my objection is you don't know enough about life to help me. You follow what I'm saying? So how do you overcome that objection? Because I'm not going to tell you that. I may tell you that. I'm like, man, you don't have enough experience to help me. So what I may ask you is, how much money do you earn? And if you don't earn more money than me, then I may say, well, how could you tell me how to manage that money? Because you don't even earn as much as I do. Like, I could coach you on how to manage money. Here's what I'm saying. This is how people think about young people. When I was a young coach, 21, 22 years old, here's what people constantly said about me. He's too young. He's arrogant. He don't know what, he doesn't have enough experience. Like, I constantly, so I'm in this predicament. I'm good. Like you are. I know I'm good. But these people don't see me as good yet. So they look down on me. Like, well, who are you, man? You're just a kid. So how do you overcome that? Okay, that's one. You work twice as hard, so people go, dang, that dude or that woman is incredible worker. That's one way. Okay, you be so good that they can't ignore you. That's one of my favorite lines. You just become so good that they're like, man, I know this dude is young, this woman is young, but she's good. Right? And here's another one. You keep showing up over and over and over and over and over. And I can't get rid of you. Like, you're always there. We got a 27-year-old in our coaching program, financial advisor for Edward Jones, 27 years old, has some of the most deep people skills and knowledge base of anybody I've ever been around. Like, it's like you're talking to a 60-year-old. And it's like, man, I trust this kid. Like, I would give this kid $400,000 or $500,000 and let him invest it for me, because he's so steady. And when you throw objections at him, he's so good. He just pivots. And he's just so sound. He overcomes the age objection. Does that make sense? And even if you earn more money than him, you're going, this kid knows what he's doing, man. He studies the market every day. He's great at communication. He's got a very high trust factor. Like I trust him. Like, I would recommend him to other people. So if you're young, you're going to get these objections about you. Like, what do you know? You're just a kid. You're going to have to show me how good you are. And the way you show me is in everything you present to me. So stop right there and look at these 4 areas. Have you found your voice, experienced an awakening? Are you designing your own dream? And do you need some new friends? That's a big one. Do you need some new friends? I worked in the prison system for 4 years rehabilitating offenders. You know the number one reason people end up in prison? Bad influences. And let me tell you something. I walked into maximum security prisons. You don't ever want to be in one of these places. Like, trust me, just walking in there, I'm like, you don't ever want to do something to end up here, ever. They tell you when to eat, when to sleep, what to do. You're in a cell about this big. Toilets are nasty. The whole place is nasty. Like, you do not want to end up here, right? And I'm trying to change these people's lives. And here's the deal. They get out of prison, go hang out with the same people they hung out with before, and turn around and go back to prison. Because of their friends. There's too much negative influence from their friends. Parents are not the number one influencer over kids. Their peers are. Your peers are the number one influence over you, okay? So number 3 or 4, number 4 right there, learn to play up. Some of y'all need to get some new friends. And it's time to clean out the closet, okay? So take a minute right now and talk about these 3 or 4 things of where you think you're deficient right now, okay? Take a second and talk about that. All right. Everything big started small. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Everything big starts small. One of my favorite sayings is every big star was once a little star that wanted to be a big star. Okay? But when I'm talking about finding your voice in life, sometimes you have to try different things to find your voice. Like you may decide I'm not supposed to be in the apartment business, but there's something about this I love. I love service with people. I love selling. I love solving problems. I love helping people get to a better place in their life. Like man, I get energized when I do this. But what I'd really like to do is take this and take it over here. Like I was a high school basketball coach, but what I loved was the dynamic of a team and motivation. And then I said, well, what if I take this of what I love and take it over here and coach business people? They'd pay me a whole lot more money over here than over here, right? But it's the same skill. Like when I see all of you, it's no different than me being in a locker room coaching a whole team. I get energy from that. So when you think about this word unique ability, in my opinion, is a God-given ability. It's like a talent that you've been given. Okay? That talent, though, has to be refined and nourished and honed and perfected. But first, I got to find it. Like it's like buried. You think it's buried. It's like I don't really know what I'm that good at. Like I'm good at this. So I start asking questions. Here's a question I would ask you if you haven't found it. What would you drive to? If I said, look, I got a group of 10 people, and they're over in Mississippi, and they're going to be there tomorrow, and I need you to drive through the night tonight to drive over to Mississippi tomorrow to get in front of these 10 people to talk about this one thing, what would that one thing be? What would that one thing be? Because that tells me some of your passion. Like I love talking about this. I love studying this. All right, let me give you another way. Let's say I give you the internet right now. I give you a computer and I said you got 2 hours. Study anything you want to study. You can study anything in the world. What would be the one thing you would study? Like with me, I would study personal development, sales. You understand? I love learning something and even watching this dude do it and then me come over here and teach it my way. Like I love that cycle. And that's in essence what I get paid to do. I get paid today to take concepts, break them down, and give them to people. Right? I can do that through social media. I can do it through webinars. I can do it through live events. So when I'm talking about this one, if you're in a job where you're going through the motions and you dread it every day, and on Sunday night you're like, oh my God, do I really have to do this again tomorrow? And you're trying to psych yourself up every day, then that's telling me like that is not your calling. Right? Like I spend half of my day on Sunday getting ready for Monday. Like I'm so excited to get back on Monday and go to work. And I own the company. I could work from home. I could work from anywhere. But I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go. I don't sit up on Sunday night going, oh my God, can't believe I got to go motivate these people again. Now, let me be very clear. There are days I wake up and feel that way. There are days just like you that I'm tired. There's days that I've talked to, I equate it to like a pastor. Like we go to New Vision Church and my pastor is so good, Brady Cooper. And I imagine when he has it preached 3 times on Sunday and he says, man, when I get done preaching 3 times, I'm like so emotionally spent. It like takes me a whole day to recuperate. But if he ever wakes up and says like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like I hate doing this. You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't want to feel that way. But there's days I wake up and I go, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've been going hard for 7 days. Okay, I just need a break. That don't mean I need to quit the profession. It just means I need a day off. You follow what I'm saying? But Brady wouldn't do it if he didn't get energy from doing it. And if he didn't feel like God had called him to do that. Does that make sense? Because I don't know who would be a pastor in the world if they didn't feel like they were called to do it. I mean, that's a tough job. And I feel like that sometimes because we have so many people. My congregation is 700 or 800 people. It ain't 7,000, but I got a lot of people I got to deal with every day. So I ask myself, what do I love doing? Well, I love doing this. Okay, that's what I need to be doing. Everybody understand what I'm saying? And if you're doing stuff that you got to jack yourself up for every day, you're on the wrong bus. Now, it's okay. We got to figure out what the right bus for you is. Does that make sense? Because you could be a failure over here in this one and come over here in this one and be completely successful. Or you're in the wrong seat on the right bus. Like the bus is right. Like I'm good with the company, I'm good with the owner, I'm good with whatever. Maybe this is not exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I'd be better if I just did this, or if I just did this. And you tweak it, okay? So maybe you're on the right bus, but you're in the wrong seat. Or maybe it's just the wrong bus. Now, the question is, what if you goof off for 4 or 5 years on the wrong bus? We can't go back and get those 4 or 5 years back. That's a cost opportunity for you. Okay? So this is why it's very important that you wake up. Like I said, you can spiritually die every day that you do something you're not supposed to be doing. Okay? You don't need to be selling insurance if you don't enjoy the insurance business. Just because somebody else told you. And you don't need to do things just because your parents told you to do it. Like, well, you need to go do this. You need to go do this. You need to go do this. This is your life. You need to be satisfied doing what you love every day. Okay? Now, is it all fun? No, it's hard. Okay? So out of these areas, which one do you feel like you're struggling with the most? Somebody give me some feedback on this.
First one,
Okay? Finding voice?
finding what you're meant to do, like your calling.
Yep.
I'm good with, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I like to do, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Now-
I find her in, I'm around by good people.
Okay, good. So here's the question. How does she find it? The only way she's going to find it is by trying different things. Everybody see that? Trying different things. Like if she don't explore different things, here's an interesting thing. When I was a basketball coach, I used to do a life after basketball night. And I would have my players in high school tell me what they thought they wanted to do for a living. I want to be a nurse. Why do you want to be a nurse? I don't know. I just always want to be a nurse. I said, okay, we're going to bring in a nurse one night. And I'm going to help you prepare 10 questions for that nurse. One of those questions is going to be, what's the worst day look like being a nurse? Did you know, so some people said, I want to be a financial advisor, I want to be a whatever, astronaut, I want to be this, I want to be that. And then, in one night, we would bring somebody in from the community that did that. And we would ask them 10 questions. They would just spend time like a small group, like asking them. Do you know that almost 90% of my players changed their mind about what they wanted to do after one conversation with those people? One conversation changed their mind. No, I don't want to do that. I thought I wanted to do it, but I don't want to do it. Like I want to be a nurse, but I don't like seeing blood. You know what I'm saying? So for you, to her point, what you got to do to find your voice is you got to try different things. And that don't mean quit your job and go try them, but like, hey, I'd like to spend a day with you doing this. Like if you want to be a speaker for a living or write books, then you need to come to me and say, hey, I'd love to just travel with you for a day. I'd love to just get on the bus with you or get on the plane with you and just be around. Like what is one of your days like? Okay? Now what if I tell you I'm going to start my day tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the morning? See, some people are going to go, nope, I ain't interested in that. Like, pick a day we ought to start at 10. But sometimes you may go with me and go, man, this is a lot harder than I thought it was. Like, he's got to amp up and speak and create content and write books and do podcasts. And I thought I would like to do that, but I don't know if I really want to do that because this is a lot harder. Because people that travel with me, the first thing they say is, dang, you work hard. Like, I had no idea how hard you worked. Like, it looks good on Facebook. Like, you see me all smiling and lights and makeup and whatever. But there's a grind behind this. It ain't easy convincing a person to pay money for coaching. Trust me. Okay? So I would tell you, pick 3 or 4 things you're interested in. Spend a little bit of time in those areas. Like go do this, go do this, go do this. And you may go, hated that. Then you may get on something and you go, man, I love this. I could see myself doing this every day. But the only way you're ever going to know is what? Experiencing it. There was a period of my time I was going to coach authors. Like if you wanted to write a book, because I've written so many books, and writing a book ain't hard, okay? It's not hard. It's just time consuming. Like to sit down and write this book, I mean, maybe it took me 6 months to a year, but it wasn't hard. It just took discipline. I just had to get behind a computer, type it out, right? Well, I decided, so many people were asking me, like, I'd like to write a book, I'd like to write a book. So here's what I said. Okay, I'm going to have a coaching program to help people write books. It's going to be easy. It's going to be $10,000. You're going to pay me $10,000, and in a year, you're going to have a book. And I started coaching people to write books. And it was the most miserable experience of my life. I couldn't get them to write it. Couldn't get them to do it. Couldn't get them to stay on schedule. Like halfway through it, I'm like, I'm done, man. I don't even want your money. I'm not interested in coaching you. Right? I'm like, this is not that complicated. Like I'm babysitting you. And you're an adult. So I thought I would like that to what I'm telling you. I thought this is going to be great. This is going to be easy. I've done it. I'm going to teach you how to do it. I found out it's a terrible decision. That's how you find out a lot of things. You try them and you say, I hated it. I'm never doing that again. But you don't know. Now, here's the alternative. Just keep doing what you're doing. And let's wake up 10 years from today, and you'll be 38, 28, and nothing's changed. Like look at the title of the book. This is not a practice life. Like you don't get to redo this. Okay? You don't get to go back and relive your 20s again. So your work is very critical to this equation. Okay? Any other things you want to say to that? Or questions?
I think, like, with our generation, that's what's, there's a big divide. There's, like, the hungry, great people, and then there's, like,
Mm-hmm.
the, I'm going to sit and just try to mold, and
Yep.
eventually it'll come to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, there's been kind of that tension. Like, I have friends that are, they're want a little bit more, and I have friends that are just kind of content where they're at, and I'm somewhere in the middle going, I can go.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. So, I mean, that's why I'm grateful for stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's where I want to be in a room with those people my age that are trying to, like, be monsters.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just sitting back. But I mean, that's like the 25 to 35-year-old.
Yeah.
You're trying to discover yourself to some degree.
That's right.
But then, for me, the biggest like turning point was taking. Okay, I know who I am because of Christ. So I'm a believer. But who am I in the workplace? Like, what
Yeah.
value do I have?
Yeah.
And that narrowed down to where I took that from ministry to like in construction. And that's as you're saying this, I'm like, if I could just tell y'all, that'll set me free.
Yeah.
Like, because you can say, this is who I am, this is my value, this is what I bring to the table, and if you want to hire me, that's great, but if not, I'm going to go somewhere else and will. So, I mean, exactly what you're saying is like, when you find that, you'll be, I mean, the freedom that you'll feel, no one can stop you.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't find it. Now, when you haven't found it, here's how you appear: lost and confused. When you're lost and confused, it's hard to create value. What if I got up here tonight and said, I'm going to be teaching you guys over the next hour, but I'm really lost and confused, and I really don't know what to say? The reason I can help you find your voice is because I found mine. Everybody with me? And I have a certainty. I know how to do this, okay? And I'm trying to tell you how to do it, okay? But if you're lost and confused, your value is low because you bring a low energy. It's like you're just kind of going through the universe, and I'm like, where's the juice at, man? Like I need more out of you. You're not giving us more. It's because you don't have a lot of certainty about you, okay? And many of you are selling certainty. All the financial people in here, y'all are selling certainty. I know there's nothing that's certain, but if I don't have a sense of certainty, then I'm not going with you. You're not going to hire me to be your coach if you don't think I can get you to a higher frequency. Okay? That's all there is to it. Now, look at this one. This is a big one. I don't know, somewhere along the way that learning became not a sexy thing. Like to me, one of the biggest things I love about a person is that they're hungry to learn. Like somewhere along the way, it became uncool to read books, and I would tell you the exact opposite, man. I'm reading 4 or 5 books at a time. I can't read enough books. Anything I'm interested in, I'm ordering the book that day. I'm getting it downloaded on Audible. I'm listening to it. I'm rereading it. So when I say make learning a way of being, like it's part of every day. It's not like, well, I had to read a book, and because they made me read it. It's like, hey, this is part of my life. I'm learning and studying, and right now, I would tell you, early in life, you need to pick 1 or 2 people you study under. I do not believe you need to study under 500 people and learn a little bit under each one. Like, pick the best dude or the best girl out there and study under them. My person was Covey. I studied Covey for 8 years. He wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's my guy. Now, did I read other books? Yes. I read those books, but I studied under one person. Does that make sense? Like, that was the greatest influence on me. And because of it, it transferred from him to me. So he's kind of part of who I am. Now, I read all these other books and listened to all these other people, and I'm like, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. But there's a difference between reading something and studying under something. Like really understanding, going deep with a person. So I don't know who you're listening to right now, but you need to be listening to podcasts. You need to be doing this. Make learning a way of being. Now, how do you add value versus subtract it? Okay, good. Now, I want you to think of this. An asset adds. A liability subtracts. If a person thinks you're a liability, then they cut you. They cut you loose. How would I think you're a liability? You're costing me something. What are you costing me?
Time, money, energy.
Time,
Decisions.
money, energy, attitude. Like I'm looking at you going, oh my gosh, like you're sucking life out of me. Like that's costing me. I can't, there's only so long I can deal with this. Right? An asset always adds to the equation. So what am I adding to you? Time. Now, I've got a new chief operating officer that I hired who is very well trained. And she's worked for a big-time person. You would know who that big-time person is, but she was a personal assistant under a big-time person, and she was very well trained. So when I hired her, she already thinks at a high frequency, okay? And here's how I knew she thinks at a high frequency. At one of the very first speaking engagements she went to me, I sign books for people when people come and want me to sign the books, and a lot of times the book's there, and I got to get the book, pick it up, sign it, then hand it to the next person. She walked up to me like this. Pen already open and held the book for me to sign it. You understand what I'm saying? Like she knew, she made it easy on me. So I could just stand here and do this. Versus pick it up, find the page, pick the pen, do this. She knew intuitively, walk up and hold it so coach can sign it. Now, that's one example. Second thing is, I spoke a few weeks ago in Chattanooga at NugaCon, and because I speak so much, I need to eat a lot. I need to be fueled a lot. But I can't eat junk, and I can't eat certain things, so I have a lot of energy. So after I spoke for an hour, which is exhausting, and I'm sweating, and then I got to go to this VIP event, she was so intuitive, she would bring me food. Okay? So in essence, she would go get food for me, and then as I'm talking to people, she would just push it right up under here. She would bring me a water and open the water and sit it down for me. Now, I want you to think about how valuable that is to me. Versus make me go over there and get the food while I'm trying to talk to people, open everything, sign books, talk to people. She's intuitive. She's like, I'm going to add to this guy's life. When I ask her to do something, you know what she says? Of course. Thank you for that. Of course. My pleasure. It's my pleasure to serve you, Coach Burt. Right? Now, does that drive up her value or down her value? Assets. Add. You see what I'm saying? She's not thinking about herself. Who's she thinking about? She's thinking about me. He's tired. He needs food. He needs energy. Let me make his life better. Which is the exact reason I hired her. Yeah, that's part of her deal. Like, I'm looking out for your best interest, okay? I'm watching you. Now, the reason I tell you that is because it's very uncommon. We are selfish people by nature. We're looking out for ourselves. Like, what's in this for me? Like, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I ain't got time to give Coach Burt some food. You follow what I'm saying? So it's very uncommon in the world to see a person that thinks like that. Like, I'm here to serve you. My job is to help you get to a higher frequency. And if we get you to a higher frequency, we're all going to get to a higher frequency. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? Now, I'm asking myself, is that something that's trained, like was she trained that way or was she already like that? Everybody see that? Now, because I'm telling you that because you may not have been trained like that, but you need to start thinking like that. Like, I'm here to serve you, your clients, whoever it is, your person. Like, it's not about me. My job is to help you get to a higher place. And if I help you get to a higher place, I'm going to be very valuable to you. Everybody see that? Now, let's say I hire Cole to come in on my sales team, and in the very first year, we generate $1 million more because of his influence. Would he be valuable to me, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, what's your goals?
Well, it don't matter. If he adds $1 million to the equation, it's valuable. Everybody see that? So I'm asking you, if I were to come in, if you were to come into me, how fast do you add something? Time, energy, money, creativity. Like, how fast can you solve a problem? This is add. If you come in as like, well, tell me what to do, tell me how to do it, tell me, help me get motivated, you're subtracting. Everybody see that? You got to ask yourself, how valuable do you want to become? All right, now I'm going to move through these fast. Build up versus tear down. How many of you believe the power of words is very valuable? I have a belief you can say almost anything you want to anybody if you just say it the right way. Like, if there's a lot of trust there and they think you got your best interest at heart, then you can have a hard conversation with another person. You follow what I'm saying? But I want you to listen to your language. When I'm with you, how do I feel about me? Do I feel confident? Do I feel less than? Do I feel weak? Do I feel judged? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like learn to compliment and build. Like build, okay? This is if you're a hardcore person like I am, I struggle with this one. Okay? Because I'm not very complimentary. I'm such a hardcore dude. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, good job. You know what I mean? But I see it. It's just I don't know. My mom never told me that a lot when I was growing up. She never like good job. Like it's always like you can do better. Like no matter what you did, like you got more in the tank. Like that's how I was raised. And it was so deeply ingrained in me. It's like I'm not loose with compliments a lot, but I do try to build people up. It's just I could get better at this area. Okay. Now the last thing is this one: act or be acted upon. Tonight, if you walk out of here, some of you are going to walk out of here and take action, and you need to take action. You need to quit standing still. There is a power in taking action. And sometimes that is going to be an incorrect action. Like you're going to do it and go, God, why did I do that? Like this was stupid. But you know what? I tell people, if you make a mistake, at least make one trying. Like do something. Don't wait on me to tell you to do something. Like if you screw up, screw it up. But I would rather you take action and screw up than just sitting and waiting on something to happen. The world rewards action. The world does not reward you sitting, thinking, talking. Yes?
You think that's for most monster leaders?
Yes.
Because there's
Absolutely. Listen, people that run organizations like me, we have so many problems to deal with in a day, you can't even imagine. They start at 5 o'clock in the morning, they go till midnight. When I get done tonight, I get 200 or 300 emails a day. I get 30 Facebook messages a day. I get 25 Instagram messages a day. Like I have so many things coming at me every day, I do not have time to solve all the problems I got to solve and solve your problems and solve everybody's problems. So what we reward guys like me, guys like your dad, is just fix it. Like just solve the problem for me. Like come in with a plan and work that plan. And if you need counsel from me, come see me. I'll help you. But don't wait on me to tell you what to do, because I got too many things to do in a day, right? And you don't really know that until you, like I remember having a conversation with Cardone once, and I was telling him how we're doing, 700 or 800 people, and he's like, man, we got 200,000 people. Like, why don't you try servicing 200,000 people and see how many problems you have? Like, it ain't nothing but problems. He's like, you got a little babysitting service. I got real problems because I'm trying to deal with 200,000 people that we're servicing. So the bigger you get, remember those song, More Money, More Problems? As you begin to scale out a company, there's all kinds of problems. You got customers that ain't happy. You got people trying to do things. You don't see that when you got 10 customers. You got 10 customers, those 10 love you. You multiply that by about 10, you got 1,000 customers, you got problems every day. Okay, somebody's not happy. Like some days, I don't even want to open my email in the morning. I'm like, oh my God. Before I open, I'm like, somebody's going to something, right? This person didn't do this. It's just like every morning. Okay, so now we're getting to the point where we've hired people to help solve some of those problems, and it's going to eventually get to the point that I don't even see those problems. Like they're handled by my team, and I don't even see them. Like there's people being paid to solve those problems, not me. Okay, but when you're a small business, you solve everything. Now, has this been valuable for you tonight? Yes or no? Okay, now I don't ever want you to feel like I'm preaching to you, like preaching down to you, because I'm not. Like God put it on my heart this year to help young professionals. I don't know why, but I just wrote in my book every night, I'm supposed to be helping 20 to 30-year-olds. I'm supposed to be helping 20, 30-year-olds. I made very bad decisions from 20 to 30. All of my real bad decisions happened from 20 to 30. Stupid decisions. And part of it was because I didn't have a Coach Burt in my life. Does that make sense? I didn't have somebody like me pouring into me. And so I think part of my reason of helping you is I really don't want you to make some of those bad decisions I made, number one. And if I would have had a Coach Burt in my life from 20 to 30, like doing this, there's no telling where I would be today. And I'm only 42 years old. So I feel like I would be, if you think I've advanced somewhat in the world, I would be way on down the road if I had coaching like this when I was in my 20 to 30s. Does that make sense? So part of this program is just pouring into you things that I want. I want you to be so successful that you're writing your own books. You're giving your own lectures. You're building your own greatness factories. You're flying on your own private jets. I mean, I want you to have the kind of success you want to have in life. But some people don't have that. They don't have a coach in their life. So, you know, if you're here and you want to, this is a coaching program, okay? And as part of this coaching program, you get access to my coaching program with all the big boys and girls, okay? And you need to take advantage of that. Because you could be, if you come to my coaching program, you could be sitting beside a person that's operating at 10 times the level you are and having conversation with them every day. And maybe it's through one of them people that opens a door for you or something. So for those of you that are considering Young Professional, Monster Young Professional is a program where we do this every month. We do one session a month with you, but then you get access to my whole coaching program, which means you get typically access to 7 of these, plus online training, Monday accountability sessions. Like, there's a whole lot that goes into this. And so if you're interested in that, just see Lakin back there. She can help you with this. And I want to give Lakin credit on this. I told her to fill the room and get young professionals in here. So Lakin, I'm proud of you for making it happen. Okay? I asked her today, I'm like, hey, listen, here's what I said. Don't cry, Lakin. I know I don't say that much. Here's my point. My point is, I'm like, where's all these people coming from? I'm like, that's awesome, right? But if you're here and you're interested, I would never try to hard sell you anything. I'm only looking for you if you're looking for me, but this don't have to be a one-night thing. This can be something that you're getting coaching and getting better. Let's fast forward to when you're 25, 30 years old. You know, we can have that talk now, we can have it in the future, okay? So if you're interested, see Lakin. She can get you enrolled. There are some other things I'm doing. It's like one-day things. One of the biggest things I want you to look at is $1 Million follow-up. I'm doing a full day of $1 Million follow-up March 6th. Lakin can get you the forms. And I'm covering my whole book, $1 Million follow-up. How to follow up, bring people to a close, bring people to a decision. It'll be an incredible day. And it's out at this new, beautiful lodge that I just purchased. It's $1.3 million. And it's on 23 acres, and man, it's beautiful. And so I do these events out there. It's 20 minutes down the road. And we just spend a full day coaching. But you'll be in a room with big-time people. We're only taking 50 people at that event. So Lakin, I want you to make sure they've got that form so they can sign up. And if you want to sign up for the coaching program, the Monster Young Professional is $299, $299 a month, and $299 per month, and it's monthly, okay? And we get you in there and get you coached up. I took 2 young professionals with me on my private jet. When was that, Lakin? A few weeks ago? We took 2 young professionals with me on the jet. And if you've never flown on a private jet before, and you've never gone 500 miles an hour, I'm telling you, it'll change your whole world. You'll never look at Southwest the same once you do this, okay? Okay? So one of these days, that's my goal for you. I want to expose you to things like this. Is show you what it's like. We're taking a private jet tomorrow to Miami to 10X. We're taking a Hawker, and I'm taking 6 or 7 people with me down there. And we're going to fly right into Miami, and we're going to have a car sitting there waiting on us on the runway, and we're going to get off, and we're going to go to the conference. It's going to be an incredible experience. So thank you guys for coming tonight, okay? God bless you.